Hello and welcome to Falcon Blues TV. I'm Callum Davis, here with a bit of a mid-season review. I'm here with Everton Rose, who's an Evertonian. Thank you very much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
It's great to have you on. It's great to have a difference in opinions from the Everton fan base. Obviously, you're from London, aren't you? So can't imagine you've got many people up there with you.
Yeah, no, we don't have many Evertonians down here. It's kind of why I started my channel. So yeah.
So have you found more Evertonians through doing this? Is that just...
Yeah, definitely. There's quite a few supporters clubs down here as well. But in the last year or so, obviously, I haven't been able to meet up too much. But hopefully, when things get back to normal, yeah, I can get involved with the groups down here.
Yeah, well, nearly there now. So obviously international break at the moment, so there's not really a great deal of Everton news to talk about, except from big brand new shiny stadium on the docks. It seems it's all good at the moment for Everton in terms of off the field, but how would you say that you think this season has gone? How would your general views on how it's gone?
So to be honest, I think as expected. I just wanted us to improve on last season, mid-table. I wanted us to be in and around the fight for Europe. I think the signings we made in the summer, they showed the intent, they showed ambition, especially when you talk about James Rodriguez, of course. And so, yeah, where we are now, 8th, I can't complain too much. For me, I wanted us to really try and go for that trophy, and we did. But in the end, Man City had far too much. So we are, I guess, where I expected. 8th, still in the fight for Europe with 9 games to go. And I can't really complain with the squad that we have. What about you?
Well, we're only 3 points off 5th, aren't we, at the moment? And we've still got that game in hand, which still hasn't been rescheduled. So yeah. I'd say I kind of agree with what you've said. We are in a good place in relative to how we were last season, but like you said, it's the quarterfinals of both competitions. It's so annoying because that's all really we want at the moment. I'd say obviously Europe would be nice for attracting players, but the trophy's just that we've got the Anfield monkey off our back, and now I think that's definitely next. So I'm hoping next season Ancelotti can bring in some more big name players, and hopefully we can push on. So you mentioned the new signings. Is there anyone in particular who's impressed you out of them, or in general from just the team who was already here from last season, or anyone that's let you down for the season?
I think Ben Godfrey has been the main surprise for a lot of Everton fans. Of course, James Rodriguez, Alan, even Doucouré, we kind of knew what we were getting with those 3. But Ben Godfrey was a player that, I'll be honest, I wasn't excited about at all. I thought that it would just give us more strength in depth. But just how well he's done, I look at him and I just see the potential in terms of Everton and England as well. He'll definitely get a call up soon, I think, for the first team. For me, Ben Godfrey, I just think the pace, the versatility that he can play pretty much along any of the positions in the back 4. Talk about him that he can play in midfield as well. I'd like to see that, if we do well in the next few games, but with no Doucouré, maybe try him further forward, see how he does. I do really like him at centre back though. In terms of who's let me down, I think you have to look at the midfield. I mean, I'm talking about putting Ben Godfrey in midfield because there's just no energy. And there's quite a few players I think that I could bring up. Iwobi, Bernard, Andre Gomez. I think I'd have to include him in that as well now. They just don't provide enough goals and assists, and for me that's what any midfielder should do. Yeah. And their return in the last 2-3 years has just been really bad for a team that wants to get into the top 6. But I'll end on a positive. Tom Davis, I think, is probably having one of his best seasons at Everton in terms of he actually brings some energy and enthusiasm. So those players for me.
I think this is the first season where Davis has been given a proper role, isn't it? Before he's kind of just been filling gaps. And sometimes he'd be defensive, sometimes he'd be expected to carry the attacks. But this season, with obviously Alan being out for 3 months, he played the Allen role, and I think that's really helped him a lot. But we obviously have been like ravaged with injuries, haven't we? Like Decore now, and we had Allen. I think that's really messed up our midfield because Ancelotti's not been able to play his strongest 11 barely at any points this season. So I think that's really thrown off what would have been like a really promising push for top 4, maybe even. But yeah, obviously Ben Godfrey's just the one, isn't he? Everyone loves him. I feel like he just embodies Everton at the moment. He's like the player. If we could mould a perfect player, tough tackling, fast centre back he's just brilliant. To be fair,
yeah, he's great.
So we've got a kind of mixed bag of a run in. We've got 10 games left. I think we've got 7 of those are from teams who are below us. What are you expecting from the final 10 games of the season? What are your hopes for the end of the season?
Well, of course, finish as high as as high as we possibly can. But I just don't know with Everton. I think now we've got Brighton and Crystal Palace, the 2 teams that I expect us to beat. So we probably won't. And then we'll probably end up beating Arsenal and Tottenham. And so I just don't know. We tend to turn up for the big games, but we're not, there's so many results. Burnley, Newcastle, Fulham, Southampton, Leeds at home, West Ham at home, our home form. And I will put it down, I think, to not having kind of the fan pressure on our backs. I don't know. I genuinely don't know the answer to that question because it just depends on which Everton turn up. No Decore will be a massive loss, but James seems to be back, so that's good. Hopefully Calvert-Lewin can keep on scoring as well. But genuinely, Callum, I have no idea where we're going to finish. And as you say, we've just got some games that we should win, some tough games as well. We've got West Ham and Villa, I think. Villa twice, maybe. And so, I just genuinely don't know. I just want us to put in the good performances. We're not going to win all of them, and just see where we can finish.
I feel like that's the least we can hope for, isn't it? I feel like we've really let ourselves down with our home form this year. Like, again, that could have been what could have happened. If we'd have won even 2 of those games that we should have won, we'd be right up there still in the mix for top 4. And as it stands, we're like 8th, I think. Obviously, we've got a game in hand, but we could be so much further up if we hadn't just slipped up against those sides. It's really, really frustrating that it's the home form, because that's where we're normally so strong, and it definitely will be down to the fans. Although sometimes they don't really help with can be pretty toxic, to be fair, especially with the likes of Tom Davis. Poor lad in midfield gets absolutely ravaged from the Gladys Street end if he makes a bad pass. So maybe some players like him, all right, to not have us on the back the whole time. So in the summer, I feel like Ancelotti does have a bit of a job on his hands to plug a few gaps. Is there any positions or players that you think we need to sign them?
I think right back is a huge area. I love Seamus Coleman, what he's done for us over the years, but I don't want the memory to be soured now. When you look at the wingers that are playing, they all have pace, and he's going to come unstuck the older that he gets. And so for me, I really like Max Aarons at Norwich. I think he's a player that we could get. He's got a link with Ben Godfrey. He's been linked with us before, so I would love to see him. In terms of other positions, midfield is the big one for me. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I really like Bissouma from Brighton. I think we lack that player that can actually just get the ball forward quickly. Mm-hmm. I feel like with some of our midfielders, they need 5-6 seconds, and you just don't get that in the Premier League against the big teams. And so Bissouma is a player that I've been really impressed with, and I still think we need a winger going forward. I like McNeil at Burnley. Maybe there's some players in Italy that Carlo knows about. I know we've been linked with Martinez as well from Inter, which would be an absolutely mad signing if that did happen. And so, I think midfield, right back, and just attacking wise, we need something else to help out Rodriguez when he's playing.
I'd agree. I think right back is definitely the one for us. I think with Holgate been playing there this season, it's made us really like blunt in attack. If he's ever forward, you know, a good ball isn't going to come in. And Coleman's barely been fit, but I think ever since he broke his leg, he's lost the pace that made him so good for us over the years. He relied on his pace, I think, a lot throughout his career, and now that he seems to be losing it, I don't know what he really offers as much anymore. I would still keep him around because I'd want him to be there if we ever won a trophy. But like you say, I don't want him to sour what he's had with us for the past God knows how long.
Yeah, 11, 12 years, yeah.
Yeah. So back down to the all-important question. How would you have rated Everton's season if it finished now out of 10? How do you think it's gone, and why would you say?
I think I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I think I take 2 points off because we haven't won a trophy, and I take another point off because, as you said earlier, we could easily be in top 4. Like if we just win 2 or 3 of the home games, we could be there. But the reason I'm giving it a 7 is because we have beaten teams this season. I think the mentality has shifted. The Anfield away one, of course, but even like teams like Chelsea and Arsenal and the last minute goal at United, like they're just normally games that I would expect us to not win and not do very well in. And Man City aside, I think that we've given a really good account of ourselves against the bigger teams, but it's just really disappointing to not beat those teams around us. So I'm going to go with a 7. What would you give it?
I'd probably have to go similar. I don't think you could give it that much higher because of the lack of trophy and the fact that we kind of have slipped up on a great opportunity this year because of how many other teams haven't really been at the races. But I think it'd be harsh to give it any lower than that because we have, like you said, given a good account of ourselves this season, and we've won against, as you said, Liverpool and Spurs. It's top 6 sides away from home that we just go to and crumble in the past. So I am pleased. I think we've made a lot of good steps forward this season. I just want to see us make the next step forward in terms of maybe Europe or a trophy. I don't think it's too much to ask, but I've been saying that my whole life, and here we are still without a trophy. So all we can do is just hope, isn't it? I think the run-in will be quite interesting. I just hope we've got whatever position we're going to finish in, whether it be in Europe or out of Europe, is finished before the last game of the season, because we've got City away, and I don't want us to have to go to City needing like a draw or something, because I just know that that's just Everton will not cope with that kind of pressure.
No. Yeah, I think Man City, it's just ridiculous. We saw it when we played them in the quarterfinal. It's just better squad depth and everything. My kind of hope is by then the league will be done and they're in holiday mode and maybe we could get something. But even then, when they make 5-6 changes, they've still got a really, really good team that would probably still finish in the top 4. So yeah, I expect nothing playing them now. Like it's so bad.
I don't think Guardiola teams go into holiday mode either, really, do they? We're always looking to break records. Their bench against us was unbelievable. You'd say that everyone on their bench would get into our team. So that's the level we want to be at. So give Ancelotti a few more seasons and we'll see if we're anywhere near that level. All right, well, brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on. If anyone would like to get all things Everton, Everton Rose is your YouTube channel, is it?
Yeah, so I'm Everton Rose on YouTube. You can find me there. I do match previews, sometimes watch-alongs, but mainly match previews and reviews. And you can find me on Twitter as well at Everton Rose YT, and Instagram is at Everton__Rose. But yeah, Callum, thank you so much for having me on the channel.
No, thank you for coming. And only one more week until our internationals are over and we can get Everton back to ruin our weekends. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, up the Toffees.
Toffees. Bye.